Yeah. Man, I saw this guy on TV not long ago. Woo! Appreciate you, bro, for joining us today.
Thanks for the introduction.
Man, all right, cool. And we're gonna have some fun with some of the questions before we kick off. And I told you in the back, I was like, yo, for the last 2 days, I was just like stalking your TikTok, your YouTube. I feel like I know this man personally. And I must say, bro, you have a very great music selection on your TikTok. Like the songs you choose on your videos, you got range. And the first one I caught on was Chief Keef. So my first question to you is, what is your go-to hype song or artist to get you going before a race?
I mean, if you couldn't tell by that video,
Yeah.
Kanye is usually the top.
Okay.
Pop Smoke, Got It On Me. That's probably my classic.
Yeah. I would love to see his end of the year Spotify play wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, anything. Yeah, it's either pretty aggressive like hip hop or like classical music.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
I'm the total opposite. I like run to R&B, which is crazy.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, all right. And also checking some things out, I saw like, you signed by Nike, so you get a chance to like experience a lot of different footwear. What would you say out of your rotation is your favorite and why?
For the everyday shoe, I go for the Pegasus. Are you asking about a running shoe or?
Yeah, running shoe.
Okay,
yep.
yeah. And then I run the shorter, like the 1500 in the Victories, and then anything over 1500 in Dragonflies. So it's like,
Smooth.
I don't know. You can't go wrong with those two.
Yeah. I mean, since we're here now, it's like, why not tell us what lifestyle shoe you like as well? Like, we're here to get to know you.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it always is changing. But right now, these Field Generals is like my favorite shoe right now.
All right, yeah. I've been going for comfortability. I'm like P, like 6,000 type guy.
Okay, yeah, I like this too.
All right, and so the next one is like, what's your favorite pre-race meal, right? But I would like to know, what meal did you eat before your 1,500 meter, if you ate?
Yeah, no, I ate. It was like, I mean, usually it's like, pasta the night before.
Right.
Everyone knows that. But, yeah, the Olympics, the race was at like 8:30 p.m. And so that's nice because I can sleep in, I can, have my schedule laid out. But it's not nice because, I'm kind of like overthinking what I'm going to eat. Like, how many hours out, blah, blah, blah. You think I'd have it down by now, but I still kind of am like second guessing myself all day. But I honestly can't even remember. But I think it was like honestly pasta for lunch and just like something light at that point.
I saw an interview where you said like you blacked out at one point because you thought you did something, it was something else. So I'm not mad at that, bro. It's a lot of pressure coming winning the Olympics, And we can just dive a little deeper into like this NX experience because you was here once upon a time. So if you can go back to your 2018-year-old self at that start line or at that finish line, what advice would you give yourself? Like knowing where you are now, what advice would you give yourself crossing that line?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today and how it was 6 years ago where I was sitting exactly where you guys are. And watching the pros up here, I saw Matthew Centrowitz talking up here, who was the most recent, before me, 1,500 meter Olympic champion from the United States. And so that was just a huge inspiration. Galen Rep, all of those people that I looked up to were all of a sudden right in front of me. And I was listening to them talk, and I just thought to myself, I wanted to get to where they are, and I wanted to be, right in front of me on the other side of that at some point. And, it was always kind of my thought that I wanted to get there, but then seeing them, hearing them talk, and then, being out here in Portland, I was all bought in. And I was like, I want to be a professional runner, and I want to sign with Nike. And pretty much I was doing everything in my power to get there, but after some reflection, it was kind of like, people say live every day like it's your last, but I like to kind of twist that for running, is race every race like it's your last, which might sound kind of corny, but it's really like, I feel like what I was doing in college, because I just wanted so badly to, move up this totem pole that, was right in front of me. Once I got to the University of Oregon, I was at the bottom of it. In every race, I raced it like my life depended on it, and I kept doing that. And all of a sudden, then I was at my first Olympic trials, and I was kind of like, how did I get here? And it felt like it all happened so fast, but I think yeah, like I said, after some reflection, I could chalk it up to just, race, like every race, like your life depends on it, which, can sound dramatic, and, you don't want to get so in your head and anxious about racing, but I really think that's the only way to, become great, if that's your goal.
I mean, if an Olympic gold medalist was telling me to run every race like it was my last, I might do that. But is there anybody, show of hands real quick, anybody out there looking at Cole like, I'm thinking that? Like, just real quick, anybody like, yo, I'm going to be that Nike athlete that come back to NXN and, do those interviews. There we go. Listen, believe in yourself, man. He's literally right in front of y'all, like right here, right in front of y'all. So, keep that mindset. And last one, like referring to NXN, what would you say was your favorite NXN memory? I know it was a lot different when you were here, like, but what was yours that you hold on to?
I think, I got second place when I was here, and I went in, honestly, it was pretty similar to how I feel like I went into this year's Olympics, where I was in the conversation, but no one was picking me to win. And, I came up just short of that. I got second place, and, the competitor that I am, I was like, oh, this is awesome, but what if I would have won? And that, that stayed with me. But I was, immediately really happy with that second place because it was my first time proving, to myself and everyone watching that, I was one of the best runners in the nation. And so I'll never forget that because that was really, the beginning of it all is kind of how I see it.
You get me excited for this community run on Saturdays. Y'all be ready out there. All right, and you kind of like spoke on it a bit. But, going into the Olympic Games, like overall, before you even got to the start line, like you said, you was that underdog, right? Like nobody really saw it. What was your mindset to kind of get past that? To like, look, forget what they're thinking, Cole is here.
Yeah, I don't know how much everyone paid attention to the build-up for the 15 this year, but it was kind of hard if you were in the track world not to see it. And it was all about, Ingebrigtsen and Kerr and these two guys that the race was slated, who's going to win between them two. And every time I saw that, I would keep moving on and be like, whatever. But internally, I was getting pissed off. And
I love the honesty. We here for it.
Yeah. And I think, with all these things, there's a healthy way to do it. And, just keeping it internal. And I was like, everything I saw, I was like, remember that. Remember that on race day. And, when it's time to walk out onto the track, it's hard to, I'm sure you guys can all relate to this already, but, it's easy to defeat yourself mentally and just be like, let's just get this race done with. Like, there's so much pressure on me. I'm putting so much pressure on myself. Like, let's just do it, whatever. And I would tell myself, when those thoughts creep in, you better remember all that crap you saw. Like, I was getting so fed up with it throughout the year. So that's how I managed it. And everyone manages it differently. But, I just told myself, like, this is the moment you've been training for. Like, don't sell yourself short now. And I'm so glad I didn't because, we all saw how it played out.
You held on to them receipts, man. Held on to them receipts, and hey, you got your get back for sure. So, like, looking at that race, like I told you, like, I'm so stuck on, like, the last, 100 meter, 200 meters that, like, happened. Can you walk us through any other moments outside? Because we only focus on that, I would say we only focus on that one part of the race, but that's the highlight of it, right? But there's so many other moments you had in those prior laps that had to count for something. So what was like going through your head, or can you walk us through that, mindset that you had?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, everyone sees the last 100 meters. That's where all the excitement happens, and especially that race, and especially for me, like, it doesn't get better than that. But, I ran in the Tokyo Olympics as well, and, I had a good kick. That's kind of been my thing almost since high school. And, once I got to the world stage, and people figure out you have a good kick, they expose that. And, in Tokyo, they just ran my wheels off. And, I got sixth place, which I was super happy about, but I was nowhere near a medal. And so from 2021 to 2024, all those years were closing that gap where I know I have a kick. If I'm there with 200 meters to go, I believe in myself more than anyone else. But those 3 years were all about getting to 200 meters to go. I guess again, I think you guys can all relate to that. You find your weaknesses, no matter how good you are, and everyone has weaknesses. And then you build off of that, and you try to fill those gaps. And when you're talking about, on the global stage, it's years and years of training and progress just to get to that last 200 meters.
That moment.
On race day, was the last thing my coach said to me. He's like, just be there with 200 to go.
That moment, man. I love that, bro. And also, like a former interview that I saw of yours, you were talking about like this instinct that you have, and like you don't have to tell me exactly what that is, because I don't want you to give out your secret to everybody. And, but how do you train that instinct? Like, what is that? Like, how does training look in your day to day to sharpen those weaknesses that you spoke on?
Yeah. I mean, I think instinct is a hard thing to train, other than just repetition. That's what I said in a lot of post-race interviews. They were like, what were you thinking when it was 100 meters to go? And, you're right behind the top 2 guys in the world, like over the past 2 years. And my answer was it was instinct at that point, because I've raced hundreds of times. I've been in this situation, and now, I don't care who it is on the track at that point. And now it's instinct. But, to get there, you gotta put in the reps. And, running's so funny like that, because, you get out what you put in. And so you got to put in the reps, and that means racing, and that means, not wimping out when it's a hard race, and it's going to be a hard race, and you can't sell yourself short. It's so easy to do on race day.
Yep. And like to piggyback off of that is like, that's disciplines that you got to have while running, right? What are some of those disciplines when you're not running, when the running shoes come off and you going home hanging with your friends? What are some disciplines you incorporate in your daily, like day-to-day life that keeps you sharp for running?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I'm fortunate enough to do this now full time. So, you guys still have to go to school, which I'm not jealous of. So, but so it's so much easier. Like now, or I guess I have no excuse now, where all of my time off the track is how do I get to that next workout feeling 100% or as close to 100% as I can. And I mean, that's still the name of the game, no matter what, high school, college, professional. And it's just how much energy, can you put into your recovery?
Yeah.
Everyone knows, or you should know by now, that recovery is such a tool. And I think, on the professional circuit, it's hard for me to do a better workout than the other top 1,500 meter guys in the world. Yeah. Everyone's doing crazy workouts, running crazy races. But what I think I can do better is recover. And so, that's so much of my focus this past year was staying healthy.
Yeah.
Because the past 2 years before that were a little rocky with injuries and all of that. And so just stay healthy and, get to the starting line. But you got to put a lot of emphasis on the time in between track sessions.
Longevity, man, I tell you that. I just turned 31 this year, y'all, and I probably recover more than I run now. So it's needed. So before we wrap up, before we close out, and I would love a big standing ovation for this amazing runner, amazing athlete. But not yet. What advice would you give them going into the big weekend, going into Saturday? What advice would you give these athletes? They seem a little nervous right now. I don't know, it's been quiet, but nonetheless, what would you do to tell them, like, to get them going, or to prepare them? Yeah,
well, I think you should be nervous, and I'm sure a lot of you are. I remember I was a nervous wreck sitting there, and I was that dude that was like, I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. Like, my roommate better not be annoying. So you should be nervous, because that means you care about it. But I'm going to echo like what I've been saying. Just don't sell yourself short. Don't get defeated by the wave of energy and excitement that's all around this meet. That was kind of the name of the game heading into this year's Olympics. You can ride the wave, or you can get crushed by it. And so use that energy. It's all energy, and you got to use it to be positive energy and ride the wave, and just get to the starting line and say, this is what I trained for, all the work's done, now I just got to execute. I like to say, once you are at the starting line, the result is essentially predetermined as far as your physical abilities. At that point, it's just executing. So that would be my advice. But you guys are all going to do great. You're going to kill it.
One more big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the 1,500 meter Olympic gold medalist, Cole Hocker, man. That was great, bro. Heck yeah.
Thank you, guys.